So here's some things that we do to help offset or to help curb that feed cost and save money on our chicken feed. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason, and we are here in Southwest Ohio on our backyard property, and we're going to talk about some backyard chickens today. All right, with rising costs, obviously, in the world today, people are concerned about saving money. People are concerned about shortages. People are concerned about all kinds of things, and one of the concerns is going to be obviously feeding those beautiful backyard chickens. Hey, kids, how you doing? Huh? Hey, Tootie, Sweetness, Ruthie, Gracie. We are very chicken focused here, okay? Chickens are what we do. Even when we get a larger property, chickens are going to be the center point of, or the focal point of the animals and of our property. Everything we do revolves around them. It just is. We grow food, and we will have other animals, but these girls behind me, this backyard flock, is always going to be very large part of what we do. And because it's such a large part of what we do, the focus is always going to be on feeding them, keeping them healthy, keeping them happy, keeping them laying well, and everything in between. But also, we've got to save some money on their feed. They're happy right now, but we've got to figure out how to save some money on their feed, right? This thing right here, their feed, can be a large cost on your property, on your homestead, or on your backyard flock. And producing these beautiful eggs is super important. Huh, Bella? But at what cost are you willing to pay to keep these girls super healthy? Feed can be expensive, and feed has gotten more expensive, right? How do we offset those costs? It's all about offsetting feed costs at this point in time. I mean, we went from using a regular, average, non-organic, regular, whatever feed, just an average feed that was fairly cheap, to switching to an organic feed, non-GMO, soy-free feed that costs quite a bit more, and then prices start rising as well. So what are the things that we can do to make sure that we're using all of our feed, no waste, or very little waste, because I can't say no waste, because there's always going to be a little waste of chicken feed, but as little waste as possible, but also keep them healthy. Maybe not use as much feed, but also keep them healthy. Our feed is super important. The feed that we're using now is the reason why our girls are still super healthy. It's the reason why we have 7-year-old laying hens that are laying fairly well, is because they're healthy. That feed is amazing feed. That's New Country Organics classic feed, classic grind feed. So it's soy-free, organic, non-GMO. But it's an extraordinarily great feed, and that's what's important to keeping these hens healthy. But we gotta offset that cost. So here's some things that we do to help offset or to help curb that feed cost and save money on our chicken feed. One of the biggest frustrations I've always had about our feed is that we use a crumble. We used the regular crumble before, and this is just a classic grind, less milled type feed that we're using here. But there's always this dusty stuff at the bottom of the feeder that they don't eat. Let's see, this is a beautiful feed here. Obviously they love it. Once they chew on it, sometimes it crumbles up and they crush it up, and then they don't eat the little fine powder stuff. So it gets in that fine powder, and they just don't want to eat it. They want a toothier type bite, I guess. Just a lot of times they wind up having a powder down there that they won't eat. You know, so just the little scraps wind up being wasted, and it turns into quite a bit of poundage of food that's just gonna be dumped because they're not eating it. And once it starts piling up in the lip of that feeder, they can't get more feed down, and it just sits there not getting ate. You got a mound of powder, it's like that thick, it's about an inch thick around the whole lip. It turns into quite a bit of food. So one thing we started doing with this feed especially is we take that powder and we dump it into here. We got this feed tote at Tractor Supply, and we dump it all, and we dump this leftover feed right in here. So we're holding on to this food. It's just old stuff that they haven't used. And we'll take this, it's a basic plastic cup, use a feed scoop, whatever you want to use. Get it? So I'll take those 5 scoops of feed. Then we run water in it and we soak it overnight. And once you run your water in there, you want to make sure it gets to a good consistency. It can soak up quite a bit of water, but if you get too much water in there, just put another scoop of feed in there. Mix it with your hand or whatever. 'Cause I'll mix it with my hand, it's no big deal. And make sure all these grains get to where they soak it up. And if you need more, just add another scoop, no big deal. And you can see here, it starts soaking up all that water. And it's still a little loose, but overnight, these grains will continue to soak that water up, and there'll be a really nice consistency. The grains are swelled and creating a better texture for them to eat. And so that they'll wind up eating what they've left. And snap that down, put a lid on it, and they'll be ready to use tomorrow. Now you could also ferment your feed. We don't do fermented feed. I don't have a problem with it. We just simply don't take the time to do it. If you wanted to ferment that feed, you would take it and like go for an extra day, stir it so many times. I'm not a fermented feed guy. That's not what I do. But that's about the gist of it. I'm sure you can find a video on fermenting chicken feed somewhere else. But the chickens absolutely love that feed. We take it, we put it in a feed pan, bring the feed pan out to them. They know what's coming when we bring the feed to them. When they see that feed pan, they know what's coming. They know it's something good. And so we put it down and they go in on that food. And honestly, that entire day, most of the feed they've eaten is that soaked feed that they would have left for trash to be thrown away in another scenario. And we have used this soaking method on the cheaper feed that we used to use. There's just a regular layer crumble, and they did the same thing. We just didn't put so much emphasis on it because it wasn't that big of a cost. Another thing you can use to offset your feed cost and to cheapen your feed bill is the weeds in your yard. Here, amongst all the garlic we have planted, we have all this chickweed, okay? All this stuff right here is just in the way for our garlic, but the chickens absolutely adore it. With this stuff, we'll take it and pick it. We'll kind of rip it up to be a little more suitable bite sizes for them. Put it in the same feed pan, take it out there to them, and they will lose their minds on that, as well as other delicious weeds for them. They're food for them. It's weeds for us in our way, like dandelion greens. So we got dandelion greens and chickweed, plantain. Let's find some plantain. Plantain, something like this. Chickens absolutely adore it. These are dandelion greens right here. Obviously, if you didn't know, they can get bigger than that, but they absolutely adore it. Things that are weeds for us and in our way, chickens love them. Which brings me to the next thing of just let them free range and forage. We will let ours out into the yard every evening for about 20 minutes or so, and they'll run through, eat clover, eat weeds, eat grass, run around digging the mud, find bugs, all those types of things. Digging, just constantly finding something. They love the freedom. It's good for them. They love getting around and running around, but also they love to find something to eat. It's their natural habit. It's their natural ability to forage, to dig, to browse and find things they want to eat, right? And that encourages that. It also gives them food that we didn't pay for, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. Chickens are happier that way. They love it, and they get food that is just in our ground. Another thing that we tend to do is grow food that we know they like. So we plant a big garden, right? We plant a lot of food. These are tomatoes, these are peppers. We have beans up here and some squashes. Corn down there that's not very tall yet. So if you're planting a big garden already, why not plant some things that the chickens love? Kale, cabbage, spinach when it's season to plant spinach, radishes. Chickens love radishes. Squashes, okay? Summer squashes and winter squashes alike. Chickens adore them. They absolutely adore those things. So especially winter squashes. We have some winter squashes, Cherokee tan pumpkins. that are imperative for us to grow. Because first of all, they're delicious. Second of all, chickens love them. We can roast those, scoop out what we can scoop out, but then all the stuff that's left, you know, because you can't get everything off those skins. Everything that's left, we'll bring to the chickens, and chickens will eat on that for a while. Or we could just simply roast one for the chickens and let them have it, and they enjoy that too. Especially in the wintertime, you know, you give them something like that that's a little warm. You bring it out and it's cold. It's something warm, nutrient dense. Man, they go to town on that, and that will really offset your feed costs, especially in the wintertime where they're not laying anyways, right? They're probably not going to lay very many eggs at all. So you bring that out, you're not paying for that feed for no eggs. Heck, you can even buy dandelion green seeds and grow dandelion greens for them. You know, I've done that a little bit. That's a little harder, but either way, you can grow food for your chickens. So any kind of greens, they love them. You know, tomato scraps, heck, apples. If you have some, like us, I'll have some. If I bought some organic apples, or any kind of apple, but we buy organic apples. So if I have some apples left over though, heck, I forgot this one's a little soft. Hey, chop that apple up and feed it to them. They love it. You know, any kind of good vegetable scraps that are like that, just feed it to them. They'll eat it up. And if they don't eat it, like in our situation there, if they happen to not eat it, they'll bury it inside that bedding, and it'll just compost. And we use that bedding for composting anyways, so it just richens the dirt. No big deal. And there you have it. Those are my tips for cutting the cost of your chicken feed bill, because it's not getting cheaper. We got to do what we can to be smart and take advantage of the things that we can take advantage of to save our own money and make everything work and operate more efficiently. Because as a homesteader, backyard chicken keeper, gardener, food grower, whatever you want to call yourself, we got to be efficient, financially efficient, time efficient, resource efficient, and those are the best ways I can find to do so. So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.